Hey everybody, it's Jonathan Miller, Hometown Historian Channel. We are here in Swatara State Park, right by the Waterville Bridge, which we'll take a walk over there just to check out the Swatara Creek, and then you have the Bear Hole Trail, which goes as Old State Road originally. A lot of biking and horseback riding and that kind of stuff. The reason I'm here though is this is where Union Canal Lock number 9 is here in Swatara State Park, and they actually just put up a sign. They had a video that they put up with Lebtown, or it's an article that they did on Cliff the Wandering Woodsman again. And he showed on Lebtown's article the picture that they put here, this sign, to explain a little bit better how these Union Canal locks actually work. And I've tried to explain to you in the past, this does a phenomenal job of showing sort of how the lock went along the creek and how it raised it by level. So you can understand it a little bit better with this type of example, you know, and then where a lock keeper's house would have been, because there would have been a lock keeper's house at each of these locks. Or if there were several of them together, that lock keeper would take care of, like say 2 or 3 locks together, he'd take care of those 2 or 3 locks. So we're going to take a closer look at this, and then we're going to look at the canal lock that's here. And then we're going to run down to Waterville Bridge so you guys can see the Swatara Creek and just see the beauty here in the Swatara Gap. So as you see, there is Union Canal Lock number 9 here on the northern branch of the Union Canal that went from Union Waterworks off of the main canal. And this was a feeder branch, which meant that, as you'll see in the picture here, there was a huge dam that basically, one of the big problems for the Union Canal was that, especially when it went through the Lebanon area, is a lot of limestone. So it's very porous. So they would lose, I think they had said, about 70 to 80% of the water. So this northern branch, not only did it give the canal an avenue up to Pine Grove to the coal regions to bring that down into Lebanon, over to Middletown and to Reading and those areas, but it also gave them this water supply that was so poorly, it was really poor with the way it would lose the water. So this enabled them to have the water they needed. And even with that, they still were losing that 70 to 80%, but it gave them enough that it was able to continue to operate. So let's look at the sign here. Unlocking the power of water. The stone structure in what remains of Lock 9 of the Union Canal Company's branch canal to Pine Grove. The branch canal was in operation from 1830 until 1862. Canal boats filled with coal from the mines north of Pine Grove passed this spot on the way to cities as far away as Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York. The original lock at this location was much smaller and made of wood. In 1851, the lock was reconstructed of stone and enlarged to accommodate boats that could haul up to 80 tons of cargo. So now here you see this map. This is the big dam. That's the feeder dam that was up this direction. You have, I think it's lock number 6, because you have 8 and 7 are next, and they're really close together. We did a video here. We went into lock number 6, and around that area is where you can still see the remnants of the big dam. Now in 1862, the reason it shut down is they had this massive flood, and it started up at what's now today Sweet Arrow Lake, but they had a dam up there, and it's sort of a cascading effect. That dam broke, it came down through, it hit the next feature, that broke, then the big dam broke, and that's where 9 people got killed. Cliff and I are going to be doing that video at some point. The only cemetery where we found some of the people that died in that flood is over at Salem Walmer's church there in Indiantown Gap, where the Proudfoot family is buried, the mother and her 2 daughters. And we're going to go into the tragic story of the personal accounts of those people, but that basically, it destroyed the canal. Like, all that's pretty much left is were the locks, because of how sturdily built they were. And even some of those, like 8 and 7, which are next, all this finished stone that you see that would have been the finished mason stone, that's all gone from those. 6, once again, that has stone. I think 5 has some of its stone. And then Cliff had done his Union Canal series, which showed you what locks are still remaining and sort of following the Union Canal up to Pine Grove. But you see that there, the big dam, and this thing was massive. I forget how many acres it was. And then right here is where we are at lock number 9. Lock number 8 and 7 are sort of together, and then 6 is the really big one that I walked down in, which was a mistake. I hurt my foot on doing that, but this is a Swatara Creek that goes up through here, and this was sort of cool how it shows sort of like some of the people that lived here, because you see some of the names that, like the Mises, the Fakes, Sadison, Sadison, Rupp, that's a name. I have a number of friends. Kreiser is another name back in Greenpoint that's really familiar, but very interesting. Now this shows you here. You'll see over here, this is the towpath where the mules would pull the boats, and this is the boats, how everything was pulled by mule, and they bring them in. What they do is they close the doors behind it, and then they let water, there's some kind of things in here that would, a sluice or whatever, that would let the water through. It would rise the level of the water to this side. They go up, they come to the next one, they'd open these gates, they go in there, close them, let the water in from above, and they keep on lifting it. Usually, I think at 8 to 12 feet at a time. And then you had your lock keeper's cabin, which would have been somewhere right over in this general region, because I know there's some of the ones down further, you can see the original foundations of those lock keeper houses. But that explains a little bit more, and that's where the Swatara Creek would have went by. And really, really cool that they have this illustration here for us. So we're going to go over to the Waterville Bridge so we can check out the Swatara Creek. Hey everybody, so we're heading up the Waterville Bridge. I was just talking to one of the volunteers. I didn't realize today was one of the drive-throughs. I think every single month here in Swatara State Park, they have a drive-through starting in Soodberg on that side of the Bear Hole Trail, which used to be the old state drive, and they let you drive down through Friday and Saturday, the second Friday and Saturday of every single month, June and afterwards. I think the first 2 months it's the second and the fourth, but this is the historic Waterville Bridge. This was brought down from Waterville up in northern Pennsylvania. Very, very cool. We're only gonna go up so far, I guess, here, because I don't want to interrupt this guy's time, but we'll take a look either way on the Swatara Creek, and this is where the Swatara Gap goes through. This is such a beautiful area. And we used to go up to Lycoming County to go bear hunting, and we went through Waterville up there in northern Pennsylvania. You see the Swatara Creek here. And we'll look down southwards in the creek. Hey.
Morning.
It is beautiful. Smoke's out of here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that was. That's something you'd see over in California and that type of stuff. And
I heard on the news and I'm like, whatever. Ain't no smoke coming from Canada. I walked outside. I'm like, oh my God, it's like a campfire. Somebody,
yeah,
it is
nuts.
Crazy. Yeah, it's a lot better today.
Oh yeah, you can finally see the sky again.
Yes. Yes.
There's the Swatara Creek. And at some point we'll make a journey out the old 443 road, because it's quite cool up through there, and tell you some memories down through there. But as always, I want to say thanks guys for coming along, and we will see you all about town.